Tonight, we'll give you the final updates on the 2024 election, hear about some viral animals that have taken the internet by storm, along with entertainment and sports. All this and much more coming up on your Northerner World Report. Welcome to this week's Northerner World Report. I'm your host, Emily Sisk. The 2024 election is finally over. Former President Donald Trump is heading back to the White House. He's the first president since Grover Cleveland to be voted out of the office and then voted back in. Wednesday, Vice President Kamala Harris conceded the race. Michael Yoshida is in West Palm Beach with the reaction on the race and has details on Harris's comments.
Former President Donald Trump, now president-elect. Securing more than the 270 electoral votes needed to clinch the presidency, and is winning the popular vote, which he failed to do in 2016.
This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before.
Trump addressing his supporters in West Palm Beach, Florida, early Wednesday morning.
We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help.
Wednesday afternoon, Vice President Kamala Harris officially conceding.
While I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign.
Addressing her supporters at her alma mater, Howard University. A day earlier, crowds gathered for her watch party, hoping for a much different outcome.
This is a time to organize, to mobilize, and to stay engaged for the sake of freedom and justice.
Many Democratic leaders seeing the election results as a test of their policies and ideas.
We got to do some soul searching. We're getting a message from a lot of people that we're not hearing them. And I hope we take the time to do the soul searching we have to do.
While many Republicans viewing election night as a major party win.
The American people overwhelmingly chose to turn the page on the failed policies of this administration on the economy, on the border, and on foreign policy.
Thursday, President Joe Biden addressed the nation from the White House Rose Garden following Donald Trump's election win. He promised an orderly transfer of power. Biden also tried to comfort his defeated base and emphasized that people can't only love their country when they win.
Setbacks are unavoidable, but giving up is unforgivable. Setbacks are unavoidable, but giving up is unforgivable. We all get knocked down. But the measure of our character, as my dad would say, is how quickly we get back up. Remember, a defeat does not mean we are defeated. We lost this battle. The America of your dreams is calling for you to get back up.
Sources say Trump is ready to move forward with his agenda. He could announce staff picks within days. Following Trump's victory, one supporter in Washington discussed why she voted Republican. Drew Mickelson has the story.
I loved it when he said, fight, fight, fight.
Welcome to Trump country in Western Washington.
He loves us. He loves us common people.
Folks at the Twin Cities Senior Center.
That's in April, y'all. I'll be 99 if I make it that far.
Have lived through a few elections.
That's what life's all about. Is everybody does their own thing.
They've won some and lost some.
I was happy as all get out.
This time, they're celebrating.
And I think Trump's going to be a good guy. He's going to close those borders, for one thing.
I have a lot of hope now. I just have a lot of hope.
Cindy Tall owns Smith's Mercantile in Chehalis.
We are starting to put out a little bit of Christmas here.
She voted Republican out of fears she'd go out of business.
I think it's just hardworking people that don't want to lose what they've worked for. They don't want to be, I don't want to be taxed out of my store.
According to the early results, Lewis County voters supported every Republican on their ballot. The conservative-backed initiatives, too. Statewide, the results were much different. They're used to that here.
We've all had to do it at times. You know, we've been through red times, we've been through blue times, and we get through it.
It's going to be more than okay.
I believe that, too.
Lewis County's advice for blue voters: celebrate your wins while dealing with your losses.
They'll have to. They don't have any choice. Yeah.
Courage and conquer.
Fight,
All right.
fight, fight.
They'll probably get their darts set out for the TV. Let me have it.
Democratic vice presidential candidate Tim Walz headed back to his home in St. Paul, Minnesota Wednesday night. That's according to a person familiar with his travel plans. The Minnesota governor did not speak when Vice President Kamala Harris gave her concession speech on Wednesday afternoon in Washington, D.C. 60-year-old Walz will continue to serve his second term as governor of Minnesota. He has 2 years left on the term. In Ohio, all eyes were on the race for the U.S. Senate seat. Republican businessman Bernie Moreno defeated Democratic incumbent Sherrod Brown, who has served in the Senate since 2007. Moreno was endorsed by Donald Trump and is from Cleveland. He delivered a victory speech in Ohio on Tuesday night.
And to the people out there in Ohio who didn't vote for me, just know that I will always advocate for you. I will always have your back, and I will work for the next 6 years to win you over. Because my responsibility is to the entirety of Ohio, and I will always work tirelessly to make certain that we do everything possible, that I work my tail off to make your life better.
And now let's take it to Jillian Coles to hear about your upcoming entertainment break.
Thanks, Emily. We hear about music, a pair of famous red slippers up for auction, and a taste of Christmas in the week's Hollywood Minute. All this and more when we come back on the Northerner World Report.
Foster care. I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. This is unacceptable, and something Feeding America is working to solve. Through a nationwide network of food banks, Feeding America serves virtually every community in the United States, including yours. See how you can help your community. Visit feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Welcome back to the Northerner World Report. I'm Jillian Coles with your entertainment break. Lady Gaga has been busy on a movie set and in the studio. The singer has 2 new albums coming out in the next few months. First up, Harlequin will be released on September 27th and feature 13 songs. Harlequin is a soundtrack album for the upcoming movie Joker Folie-à-Deux. The Grammy and Oscar winner stars opposite Joaquin Phoenix in the movie, which opens October 4th. Meanwhile, the first single from her 7th studio album will debut next month. Coldplay frontman Chris Martin had an accident on stage in Australia. During Sunday's show in Melbourne, Martin was walking backwards and talking to the crowd when he fell through an open trap door. Some nearby crew members helped him back up. Martin joked the incident was not planned. Coldplay had been on tour since March 2022. The British rock band released its 10th studio album, Moon Music, in June. There's no place like home, and Judy Garland's ruby red slippers are finding a new one. The iconic shoes the actress wore in The Wizard of Oz are going up for auction. They are one of 4 pairs surviving from the 1939 classic, but these gained notoriety in 2005 when they were stolen from the Judy Garland Museum in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. The FBI recovered them in 2018 following an investigation. The slippers are being sold as part of Heritage Auctions, Hollywood Entertainment's signature auctions. Online bidding has already begun with prices surpassing $1 million. The hat worn by Margaret Hamilton's Wicked Witch of the West is also up for sale. It seems it's never too early for Christmas movies. This week alone sees the debuts of a quartet of Yuletide films. David Daniel decks the halls in today's Hollywood Minute.
When James and I met, it was like magic. And we made a deal.
What if we meet next Christmas at the Pentatonics concert?
Shut up.
Christina Milian needs a holiday miracle to make her fairy tale romance come true in Meet Me Next Christmas. But is her prince the man waiting at the concert for her, or the handsome ticket concierge trying to get her there? Meet Me Next Christmas just dropped on Netflix.
Listen, if she wants Christmas in August, I'm gonna give it to her. And you two are gonna suck it up. Just do what everybody else does in the world. Fake the crap out of it.
A 10-year-old girl and her grandfather stage an early holiday to keep her parents from breaking up in A Sudden Case of Christmas. The family film, shot in Italy's Dolomite Mountains, debuts Thursday in select theaters and on digital platforms.
It's Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
An extended Italian family gathers for what could be their last Yuletide in their ancestral home in Christmas Eve in Millers Point. The ensemble comedy is in select theaters Friday.
We're going to be in your Bible play.
Herdman's in church.
Oh boy.
Judy Greer is a mom determined to make this the best Christmas pageant ever, even with the worst kids in town in leading roles. The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, based on the popular novel, opens in theaters Friday. Feeling jolly in Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
And that's it for your entertainment break. Now back to Emily with the news.
Thanks, Jillian. Authorities had to shut down part of Interstate 490 in New York State on Thursday after a tour bus flipped over. 28 people were hospitalized, 1 was critically injured. The bus rolled on its side, leaving passengers trapped. Emergency crews removed victims from the bus. A New York sheriff deputy said they are conducting an investigation to determine what caused the accident.
We're going to do a thorough investigation, and that is a lengthy process. There is no initial indication of drugs or alcohol being involved, so we will continue to just work with the driver and try to reconstruct the events of this accident. At this point, we cannot give you a cause as to why. We still have a lot of work to do with that. We're working with that company right now. They do have cameras on the bus. We'll be writing search warrants for all of that data, and we'll be processing that back at our office and trying to add that to our investigation and reconstruct what actually took place.
The bus was en route from New York City to Niagara Falls. Peanut the squirrel took the nation by storm after it was euthanized last week. Blaze Gomez has this story from New York.
Hi, handsome.
Peanut the squirrel was an Instagram sensation.
But have you met Squirrel Daddy?
But last week, his owner, Mark Longo, says the New York State DEC euthanized his longtime pet and a rescued raccoon after raiding his Pine City home.
Peanut was the best thing that ever happened to us.
According to published reports, the agency claimed it received multiple complaints from the public about the possible unsafe and illegal housing of wildlife that could carry rabies. Longo said on Instagram that the animals were put down to test for the virus. The decision has garnered intense backlash, and state officials say 10 bomb threats have been called into the DEC, including their office here in New Paltz. Authorities say the threats were determined to be unfounded and have not said if they're tied to Peanut's case. Governor Hochul's office issued a statement condemning the threats and backing her state workforce. We talked to wildlife rescuers about the controversy.
It's a devastating, this was the perfect storm, and poor Peanut paid the price for it.
News 12 reached out to the DEC for more information and are waiting to hear back.
Even Vice President-elect J.D. Vance chimed in about Peanut. On Sunday before the election, Vance was in North Carolina. The Ohio senator said he blames Democrats for the death of Peanut the squirrel.
So I know Don's fired up about Peanut the squirrel. We were on the way down here from Cincinnati. He was like, is it really the case that the Democrats murdered the Elon Musk of squirrels? And I said, yeah, it sounds like, have you seen the videos of this squirrel? Yeah. He's a genius, or he was, unfortunately. But the same government that doesn't care about hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrant criminals coming into our country doesn't want us to have pets. It's the craziest thing. Look, let me leave you with a couple thoughts here, because I know we're going to get on to the next spot,
And in Kentucky, a woman is waiting to see what happens to her neighbor. He's facing charges for killing her cat for a reason so bad you won't believe it. Jeremy Toombs has this story.
Kristin Brandenburg just moved into her rural Georgetown neighborhood less than 6 months ago.
Been pretty quiet out here. We kind of keep to ourselves. Never had any issues with anybody.
That is until September 22nd, when she got a call from her fiancé.
He sent me the picture of my cat.
Her 12-year-old cat, who she called Gray Baby, had been shot. Brandenburg rushed him to the vet, but they ultimately had to put him down. The next day, police went to talk with her neighbor, Christopher Jones, who admitted to the shooting. Court documents show that he said the cat was on his property being a nuisance, climbing on his vehicles and leaving paw prints. And so he, quote, took care of it.
It just doesn't make any sense why somebody would do that evil could live right next door to you.
It's left Brandenburg shocked, and it's why she didn't want to be on camera as she waits for justice.
It also puts me in fear because what's he going to do now? I have other animals. I have 2 dogs.
But that could come in the form of Ethan's Law. The law just took effect in July. It makes torture of a dog or cat a felony in Kentucky.
This is what I would consider a violent act, to end a life not for a hunting purpose, not for a self-defense purpose, not even for a valid defense of property.
Brandenburg's case will be among the first in the state to use it. Ethan's owner, Jeff Calloway, says he will be following this Scott County case closely.
I wouldn't even say the last thing to do is shoot the cat, That's just not even on the list. There's just so many other ways to handle it. Come over, talk to your neighbor, and now we have to make sure that we follow through and that it's adjudicated properly.
Police say the neighbor thought shooting the cat was legal. He is scheduled to appear in court November 14th. And with that, let's check in with Ben to hear about what's coming up in sports.
Thanks, Emily. Coming up on your sports break, we've got details on NKU sports, the NFL, and college basketball. Stick around, it's coming up on your Northerner Sports Break.
I don't remember how it started. Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.
Welcome to the Northerner Sports Break. I'm Ben Miller. The NKU men's soccer team traveled to Indiana, taking on Purdue Fort Wayne, winning 3-1, breaking a 3-game losing streak. The Norse return home as they welcome Wright State to Highland Heights, losing 4-1. They now finish the season with a record of 3-6-7. The women's soccer team enters the Horizon League tournament as the number 2 seed, as they will face number 3 Detroit Mercy tonight from Milwaukee, Wisconsin at 5 p.m. on ESPN+. Basketball is officially back as the NKU women's basketball team opened up their first regular season game under head coach Jeff Hands. The Norse faced the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders, losing 79-58 as grad transfer Haley Dodell led the Norse, scoring 18 points. The Norse will travel to Lexington to face the 22nd ranked Kentucky Wildcats tonight starting at 6 p.m. on ESPN+. The men's basketball team opened up their season on the road in Tallahassee, taking on the Florida State Seminoles, losing 74-62. Josh Dilling led the Norse, scoring 18 points. The men's schedule gets tougher as they travel to West Lafayette, taking on the 14th-ranked Purdue Boilermakers this Friday night, with coverage beginning at 7 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. NKU women's volleyball was in action this past week as they traveled to Wisconsin for a 2-game series against Green Bay, losing Game 1 3-0 and losing Game 2 3-2. They now have lost 6 games in a row and look to get back on track as they are back at Regents Hall for a 2-game series against Oakland this Friday, with Game 1 beginning at 5 p.m. on ESPN+. Retired football star Jason Kelce is apologizing for smashing a fan's phone over the weekend. The incident was caught on video and quickly went viral. It happened Saturday outside of Beaver Stadium, where Penn State faced against Ohio State. The fan confronted Kelce and used a homophobic slur to describe Kelce's brother, Travis, who is dating singer Taylor Swift. Jason Kelce took offense. He smashed the fan's phone on the ground and then called out the fan using the same homophobic slur. The former Philadelphia Eagles center turned broadcaster issued an apology before Monday Night Football's broadcast. He said he was in a heated moment. He chose to greet hate with hate. He said normally he tries to live by the golden rule of treating people with respect, but he admits he feels short. Over the weekend, Penn State campus police are investigating the incident. The Who Dat Nation is looking for a new leader. Dennis Allen was fired as head coach of the New Orleans Saints on Monday. The decision came one day after the team suffered its 7th consecutive loss, which is the longest such streak for the franchise since 1999 during Allen's 3-season tenure as Saints had 18 wins and 25 losses and never made it to the postseason. Assistant head coach Darian Rizzi has been named the Saints' interim head coach. The Saints are currently tied for last place with the Carolina Panthers in the NFC South. Their next game is against the Atlanta Falcons. The Cincinnati Bengals hit the jackpot over the weekend with a 41-24 win over the Las Vegas Raiders, getting their first win at home and improved to 4-5 on the season. Joe Burrow went for 27 for 39, putting up a total of 251 yards and ties a career-high 5 touchdowns. Defensive end Trey Hendrickson was named AFC Defensive Player of the Week, putting up 4 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 1 deflected pass against the Raiders. The Bengals hit the road to take on Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens Thursday night at 8:15 p.m. on Amazon Prime Video. That'll do it for your sports break. Now let's take it to Emily with the news.
Thanks, Ben. A new baby hippo has taken up the viral star mantle and bolstered hope for an entire endangered species. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
Animal lovers and activists rejoice. A brand new endangered pygmy hippo calf was just born, and oh my god, she is a cutie pie. Born at Scotland's Edinburgh Zoo, the pint-sized pachyderm is just days old and is being closely monitored. And get this, her name is Haggis. This thing writes itself. Haggis is already a social media star, of course, leaving the platform formerly known as Twitter Twitter. But maybe the best part, her arrival provides a much-needed boon to the endangered pygmy hippo population, which has reportedly dwindled to a mere 2,500 worldwide. The latest slick and shiny starlet also arrives in a pop culture market already saturated with hippo hysteria. And somehow, hippo fans are hungry for even more. Pose! Seriously, people already be like, moo dang, mo like, who dang. And don't even get me started on that old has-been Fiona the hippo. Pfft, that hippo ain't hip no mo. In fact, make way for a new Fiona, and a green one at that. This Mississippi Pit Bull pup is the popular pick of the litter after popping out packing a peculiar pigment, which is typically attributed to a temporary bile staining in the womb.
Didn't notice at first she was a different color. And then when she had another one, I'm like, that first one is like a different color.
Keen on the green, into it the owners leaned, naming the pup Fiona after Shrek's big green, big screen better half. The name will stick around, but the key lime color probably not. Much like this Fiona's fame, this Fiona's stain will likely fade in time. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Quite an interesting story there. And soon you'll be able to get IHOP pancakes and Applebee's ribs in one meal. Dine Brands, which owns both restaurants, announced it is opening a combined Applebee's IHOP in Texas next year. Renderings showed two distinct sections. One side has the traditional IHOP interior, the other includes a large bar and TVs usually seen in Applebee's. Both menus will be available throughout the restaurant since they will share a kitchen. Dine hopes this can help grow the restaurants, which both reported falling sales in the third quarter. The company has already seen success with dual-branded Applebee's IHOP in Canada, Latin America, and the Middle East. And the famous Rockefeller Center Christmas tree is on its way to New York City. The 74-foot Norway spruce was cut down in West Stockbridge, Massachusetts on Thursday. It was planted 67 years ago. Carolers dressed as elves sang Christmas songs to send off the tree in style. The 11-ton tree was then hoisted up with a crane and loaded on a flatbed truck. It's scheduled to arrive in New York on Saturday. Once it's set up, it will be adorned with 50,000 lights and topped with a Swarovski crystal star. The tree lighting is set for December 4th, and the tree will stay up until mid-January. And that's a wrap on today's Northerner World Report. Check us out at Northerner Media on Instagram and X. Thanks for tuning in and stay classy, NKU.